There are plenty of reasons for us to feel distressed. I don't even have to give you examples. All day long, we go through our days inundated with lots of reasons to be distressed. And these things have a real effect on us. We can react to them, or we can separate ourselves from them, which is often what happens. The separation that we feel is because we think that it's us against them. It's us versus them. We start to put up barriers between us and things that are not like us. This is a very human thing to do. This is what we all do. It's us versus them. And it's good versus bad, maybe even evil. And this separation, we think, brings us safety. We think that we feel safer if we're separate, when in fact we need to breed more connection with other people. I've been studying, as Molly mentioned, I've been studying a variety of different subjects in a variety of places around the world, including international relations, leadership, social justice, a variety of things. And where my journey has led me to this point is actually to the Great Heartland Buddhist Temple of Toledo, right here, a thriving Zen community right in Toledo. And I've been studying under the teachers here, Reverend Karen Doan Wyke, and Jay Rinzen Wyke Sensei, the abbot of the temple. And what I've learned through my studies about Zen Buddhism is that the answer is actually compassion. A compassion that starts with each one of us and that blossoms to have a huge impact on the rest of the world. Now, what is compassion? There are a lot of different definitions, but here's the one that we're going to be using. Compassion is the trained ability to recognize pain and suffering, to resist being hijacked by suffering, and respond in a way that alleviates suffering for whoever we're talking to. Okay? Whoever we encounter in our life, how do we respond to them in a way that alleviates their suffering? Now, how do we train this? How do we do that? Do we just wake up one day, or do we leave the talk today thinking, I'm going to be more loving today. I'm going to be more compassionate. It's going to be like snowflakes and rainbows, and my whole life will be different, and everyone will love me. Everything will be great. It's like I'll be on top of a mountaintop, spinning in circles, happy, because I'm so compassionate. Can we flip the switch like that? No. In my experience, and in the experience of my teachers, and the experience of the teachers before them for centuries, that's not really how it works, right? For one thing, there are lots of reasons for us to be distressed. We already talked about those. For another thing, it doesn't work that way. Think of it this way. If we were really, really angry, think about the last time that you were really raging mad, and somebody said to you, just calm down. Just calm down. Did it work? No, of course not. It didn't work. We can't go from this current state of being raging mad all the way over to being calm and happy and peaceful. It doesn't work like that. If anything, it stokes the fire, right? We're madder when somebody says that to us. So we have to figure out other strategies for how we can go from where we currently are in our general state of distress with the world around us, for good reasons, to being more peaceful and compassionate. We have to practice. We have to practice being still. We have to practice settling down and focusing and being compassionate. We can't swing from one pendulum of distress all the way over to compassion, so we have to come to neutral first. Now, there are lots of ways that we can come to neutral, and there are probably some that you already practice in your daily life. Maybe you choose to go running to become neutral. Maybe you choose to have a glass of wine. Maybe you choose to exercise or sleep or have sex or whatever those things are. But those things are temporary solutions. And they're not always immediately accessible to you. And so the kind of neutral that I'm going to be teaching you to do today is Zazen, seated Zen, seated meditation. This is something you can access at any time because it's related to your breath, which, as Michael pointed out, you have available to you at any time. And so when we're doing Zazen, what we do is we're focusing on the breath, in and out, focusing our awareness and our attention. As thoughts come in and out of our head, which they will, we don't chase them down a little path. We don't invite them in for tea. We don't, throw them out like a bouncer at a bar. We just notice them, acknowledge them, and return back to the breath. So let's try it. Okay? Turns out that posture is really important in Zazen. So let's all scoot up a little bit closer in your chairs. A little bit towards the end. Sit straight. And tuck your chin just a little bit. And you're going to be focusing on a point in front of you at about a 45-degree angle. Relax your shoulders. Everybody relax your shoulders down there. And you're going to position your hands like my friends here in the picture. Okay? And we're going to take a few breaths. Okay? When you hear the bell, just take a few breaths. Come back. Okay. Now, when you are doing this for the first time, it can be a little uncomfortable. For how many people in here was this just a little uncomfortable? Taking a few breaths. When our minds are used to spinning and spinning and spinning and working so hard, it takes a lot for us to be able to come to neutral. It takes a lot of practice. When I first started sitting Zazen, I wasn't able to sit for more than 5 minutes. I couldn't. I sat there, I would see patterns in the carpet, I would hear songs in my head, I would pack up my bags with my thoughts, and we would go on a nice little vacation together. I had a really hard time sitting Zazen for more than 5 minutes. But the thing is, it makes sense. If we haven't run in a long time, and we go running, our muscles are going to be sore. We're not used to it. We're not conditioned. We're not trained. And so we need to condition ourselves. We need to practice. It turns out that having your body be active is what makes your body healthier. That's what we need to do. It's the right thing to do. Having our bodies be calm is also important. Having our minds be active is our daily rat race. It's the hamster wheel. Bringing our minds to be still is actually how we make them healthy. And there's all kinds of emerging neuroscience, research that's happening, and a lot of anecdotal evidence that's coming out that having your mind still changes the way that your neurons fire, your synapses fire, the way that your brain is structured. There are lots of things that this does to your brain if you're doing a compassionate practice like meditation. And so it's really important that we do this for the health of our brains. You might be thinking, well, that's nice, but what does that have to do with compassion? You said you were going to talk about compassion. And so remember, this is only the first step towards compassion. We're only going to neutral at this point. And going beyond neutral is going to take a little bit more effort. It's going to take a different kind of practice. You actually do develop some compassion by coming to neutral, but we need to do a little bit more to push ourselves to get over into compassion practice. This is called metta practice. It's called loving kindness practice. And so what we do, as we have built up this basis of being able to meditate and come to neutral for ourselves at any time in any situation that we encounter, next what we can do is we can start to add layers onto that. So we can say, as we're sitting there, we can think of ourselves, bring ourselves to mind and say, may I be free from suffering. May I be at ease. May I be safe. May I be happy. When was the last time that we invited ourselves to be happy? The last time we invited ourselves to feel safe? Especially in a time when we're feeling emotionally compromised. We do this practice at times when we're not emotionally compromised so that we can access it when we are. When we're feeling calm and we're practicing Zazen, we're able to build up those muscles the same way that a marathon runner would build up their strength and their muscles to be able to access it at any time. Now, as you do this meta practice, this loving kindness practice, we start with ourselves, and then we might do it with someone else who's close to us. Maybe it's our roommate or our spouse or someone who's close to us, a good friend, a loved one. Maybe it's your mom. Maybe it's not your mom. I don't know your relationship with your mom. But you bring that person to mind, and you think, may they be at ease. May they be happy. May they be free from suffering, and may they be safe. And then after we have that practice down, we've done that for a little while, we take it to an acquaintance or a stranger. Maybe it's that uncle that you're going to see at Thanksgiving in a couple months that's going to definitely want to talk about the presidential election. You all have one of those uncles, right? Right? You know he's going to want to talk about that. So start practicing this now so that you're ready for November, both for the election itself, let's be honest, but also for that uncle that you're going to see that's going to want to talk about it. May he feel safe in that conversation. May he be happy. May he be at ease. And may he be free from suffering. You then do it for someone who you might consider an enemy. Okay? You do it for someone that you might consider being an adversary to you, someone you just can't get along with. And I put this picture up here, not because I necessarily view police as the enemy, but more because I have an irrational fear of them. Does anybody else have an irrational fear of police? I haven't done anything wrong. I'm a law-abiding citizen. But there are times when I'm feeling scared if I see a police car pull out behind me. And so my meta practice with them is, may they be at ease. If they're coming for me or somebody else in front of me, may they be at ease. May they be at ease. May they be happy and free from suffering. Now, I don't want you to misunderstand and think that those problems of the world that we talked about, those reasons that we're all distressed, are going to go away while we're sitting in meditation. All of those problems are very real, and there's a lot of work that needs to be done in those areas. Environmental degradation is not going to go away while we're sitting in meditation. Social injustice is not going to go away while we're sitting in meditation. Terrorism and violence are not going to go away while we're sitting in meditation. However, the way that we show up to address these issues will be different if we have worked on these practices. So we're able to do this work much more effectively. This incredible work that we need to be doing. Okay? And so there are two things that this practice does for us. The first thing is that it prepares us for the best possible encounter we could possibly have. So if you're expecting to be in some kind of an encounter with someone, whether it's at work or with your spouse when you get home or your roommate, whoever it's going to be, or if it's a police officer, it prepares you to be able to approach that encounter with a different mind space. If you're revved up and you're ready to go and you're all armored up, that's going to be one kind of an encounter, and it's probably going to cause some damage to you or to people around you or who knows. If you show up for it joyful, let's think about that. The last conflict that you had with someone. Is there any possibility you could have shown up for that joyfully? I'm excited to have this conflict now. Let's do it. Yeah? That's going to be a different encounter. Or if you just show up for it in neutral. Even neutral would be better than if we're showing up for it armored. The second thing that it does is that it eliminates the idea that there are enemies at all. So I don't know if anyone's ever seen this graffiti coming off of I-475 right out here, but it says, I love you, I love us. And so this idea that there's an enemy at all, that enemies even exist, starts to go away as you do this compassion practice more and more. And I've noticed this in my practice. I've been practicing for about 2 years, pretty much daily. And what I noticed is when I've been practicing regularly, the people that I talk to, the people that I encounter, I don't necessarily see them as an enemy anymore. I recognize that they have a backpack of suffering on. And that whatever they're bringing to this interaction that we have right now, maybe there's a different explanation. Maybe they're not out to get me. Maybe it's that they're sick. Maybe they're worried or scared for themselves or for someone else. It's not that they're jerks. It's that there's a lot going on with them. And I can choose in that moment, because I've been practicing Zazen, I can choose whether to add a brick to their backpack, or I can choose to help alleviate some of that suffering. Now this last one, you're going to have to trust me on this one, because I'm trusting somebody on this one too. My teacher, Rinzen Weik Sensei, he says that once you've been doing this for 3 decades, like he has, you develop what's called Nondual Awareness. And what that means is that we start to feel that there's no separation between you and me. That this is you, this is me, this is the person sitting next to you, maybe this is the police, maybe this is a terrorist. And we start to believe that we're all connected in some way. We're all part of the same body. And through these practices, we can start to understand that there's no separation. And if that's the case, why wouldn't I want what's best for you? Why wouldn't I want to wish you to be safe, or for you to be happy, or for you to be at ease, or for you to feel safe and free from suffering? We can battle the giants the way that we've been battling them all along, and we might win a few rounds, but they will be temporary and they will be hollow victories, because they were not won through the power that comes from centeredness, gentleness, and wisdom. And so instead, what we need to try is a different approach. We need to make friends with ourselves, to make friends with the giants, and then to go and address all of the battles that we need to address from a place of gentleness and strength.